Tonight, on the Nation Sports Show, we break down the biggest headlining stories coming out of the 2024 NFL Draft that took place in the Motor City in Detroit, Michigan. Also news in the NFL on Monday, Ezekiel Elliott, who 1 year ago played with the Patriots for one full season, is rejoining the Dallas Cowboys on a 1-year contract. Travis Kelce, the star tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, is staying with the team on a 2-year deal, making Kelce the highest paid tight end in NFL history. On Monday was also announced by multiple sources in July at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Iron Mike Tyson, one of the greatest pound-for-pound professional boxers in the world, will take on Jake Paul in a sanctioned professional boxing bout. Also tonight, we continue our coverage of the 2024 NBA playoffs. One of the second-round matchups in the Western Conference is set. It will be the defending champions, the Denver Nuggets, taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. In the Eastern Conference, the Boston Celtics are up on the Miami Heat, 3-1. And the biggest story without a doubt in the Eastern Conference is the Milwaukee Bucks are decimated by injuries, heading into Game 5 tonight against the 6th seed Indiana Pacers. They trail in the series 3-1. Can they avoid being eliminated? It's showtime.
Good up to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is a Tuesday, and you know what that means. It is sports talk time here on YouTube once again for another live edition of our Nation Sports Show here on YouTube. Like I just said, what is going on, everybody? Here I am your host for this evening, Stephen Wyand, and unfortunately, due to sucky traffic in Chicago, Ezra is not here right now, but he said in our sports chat here on Facebook, he said that he should be here hopefully in the second hour. But we're here, we're live, and we are here to talk about all of the happenings in the world of sports. And before we get to the matters of the business at hand, we got to plug the social media platforms up first. On Twitter at ON_sports show, Facebook and YouTube.com/Our Nation Sports Show, and Instagram at ON Sports Show. Also, don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, Facebook.com/Nation's Corner, and where the Nation's Corner is live on every single Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific at youtube.com/The Nation's Corner. Be sure to join the crew for all of the happenings in professional wrestling, as this past week in WWE, it was the draft taking place in Cincinnati on SmackDown and in Kansas City for Raw last night. And speaking of the draft, the NFL draft has came and gone, and we will be talking about that here tonight and everything going around in the NBA, boxing, and whatever we decide to talk about. And I could not do this alone. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but that would be boring, being all alone. Talking, out loud and screaming to the clouds, especially about the Dallas Cowboys, but we'll get to that here in a second. But before we get to all of that, joining me here tonight is one of my good brothers from another mother. He is a Washington Commanders fan, and I know he is ecstatic what his team did during the draft. And I know he is all happy because, I mean, how could you not be? It is a great time to be alive as a sports fan. What the hell am I rambling on? JT, Joey Thornton, what's going on, man?
What's up, everybody? Hope everybody's having an amazing Taco Tuesday. And yes, I said Taco Tuesday because what other day are you going to eat tacos on? Huh? But anyway.
That's right. That's right. It is Taco Tuesday. As a matter of fact, I had tacos myself for dinner, so it's all good in the neighborhood.
Nice. Yeah, I had tacos for lunch, so I guess
How could you not? It is Taco Tuesday, and it's also a Taco Tuesday. That means we're live here on YouTube talking about the world of sports. I mean, and
That's right.
So
let me tell you, we got some stuff to talk about, ranging from the NFL drafts to NBA playoffs to some Major League Baseball to maybe even a plug in a little bit of wrestling, because why not?
Why not? And why not? Let's get to it. And the NFL draft came and gone, like I said, in Detroit, in the Motor City, where obviously the young upstart Lions are proud to be, what they had last year as a season and being able to host the next year, before the season kicks off in September for the regular season. I mean, you got to feel good about that for if you're a Lions fan, because, I mean, how could you not be ecstatic, for what your team has built in the last 3 to 4
Rock
years?
City, baby. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Listen, go tell y'all a little something. Detroit Lions, you got to be proud of yourself, because unlike the Dallas Cowboys, you know how to get the job done. Oh, yeah. But all kidding aside, I mean, when you got Eminem, Barry Sanders, two Detroit legends along with Calvin Johnson, Megatron, three of the biggest, iconic figures in entertainment and sports for the city of Detroit. I mean, just really, really cool, that they got to experience that on Thursday. And obviously in the draft, no surprise, Caleb Williams goes number 1 to Chicago. And we talked about this, Joey, and I know you're happy about this. Jaden Daniels is going to Washington.
Yeah, but to start off, I just got 2 words to say. If a certain somebody is watching this right now, sorry, Randy. Sorry, we took your quarterback. But speaking of which, if my stats are correct, which I'm pretty sure they are, the Las Vegas Raiders didn't even draft a quarterback.
And if my calculations are correct, also a certain team in Texas did not draft nothing significant, but we'll get to that here in a little bit.
Oh, God.
We're going to keep bringing it up because it's easy.
You know what? Let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and talk about them Texas losers.
Are you kidding me? Now, I know that the other big story is Atlanta. We're going to get to that here in a little bit. But the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, come on. You have had all offseason to get significant pieces around Dak Prescott, in the offseason. There were plenty of receivers, plenty of tight ends, plenty of defensive players that were out there on the market, and you couldn't get nothing done. And then if that's not enough, in the draft, you mean to tell me all of the great cornerbacks, the wide receivers, and yes, even the running backs, because there was not a single running back in round 1 that was taken off of the board. Not a single running back was drafted in round 1. Cornerbacks, defensive players, quarterbacks. As a matter of fact, 6 quarterbacks all went in the first 12 picks.
Yep, and here's another mind-blowing stat for you. The first 14 picks were all offensive players.
Unbelievable statistic right there. I mean, you can't make this up. I mean, the Cowboys had every opportunity to get significant pieces in every facet of the offseason. That's why it's called the offseason. Why do you think these teams, that are trying to make a move, make the moves they do? Because they want to get better. The Houston Texans arguably have gotten better in the offseason with some of their defensive acquisitions and the acquisition of former Bills receiver Stephon Diggs. And and not to mention you get what's this? Oh my, why am I drawing a blank? The running back from Cincinnati, formerly of Cincinnati.
Joe Mixon.
Thank you, Joe Mixon. You get Joe Mixon, at running back. Those are two great pieces on the offensive side of the ball for the Texans. And then obviously the Baltimore Ravens made a splash in getting Derrick Henry in the offseason. And the Jags made some moves, not gambling moves, but I digress.
Oh, no, you didn't. No, you didn't go there, sir.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I
It's
went there. Yeah, I did say it ain't so. Whoa. So, but the Cowboys, I mean, Jerry Jones is clearly the problem because CeeDee Lamb did not get a contract extension. Dak Prescott, his contract, it's not going to last forever unless you structure the contract.
Well,
You lost Tony Pollard in the offseason. Oh, but what did you do? You signed Ezekiel Elliott, your former running back, to a one-year deal after he left for the Patriots a year ago. And that's one of your pieces that you were missing, because if they didn't get Zeke back, who the hell is going to be their running back? And I'm sorry, but Jerry Jones reminds me of those damn politicians. No matter if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican, you lie. He said in the offseason, oh, we're all in. That's a bunch of bull crap. Because if you were all in, you would be making significant moves to improve your ball club.
Man, oh man, have I got a lot to say about this team.
Go.
Okay, so first off, the one word that I can describe this Dallas Cowboys organization is, quite frankly, delusional. The fans are delusional. The players are delusional. The ownership is delusional. Hell, like we mentioned in the pre-show, Jerry Jones has his head so far up where the sun don't shine. I mean, he can't even... And how can you expect to go far in the postseason when you have a quarterback that is more concerned about making money than winning, a running back who trips over his own 2 feet and can't be an O lineman to save his freaking life?
I'm still baffled about that.
You got a playoff choke for a head coach. You got an absolute cancer as your team owner. And most importantly, you got these delusional fans every single year saying, oh, this is our year. We're going to the Super Bowl. We them boys. Ain't nobody gonna stop us. Oh, hush your mouth. You've been saying the same crap for almost 30 years, and look where it's got you. Nowhere.
They've had the most significant losses in the playoffs in the last nearly 30 years.
And
unbelievable.
And yet these Dallas fans will say, oh, well, that's because we're not ready to play come playoff time. Okay, so riddle me this. If you're not going to be ready to play come playoff time, when are you going to be ready to play? The preseason?
I mean, it's honestly mind-boggling, Joey. I mean, when you look at the significance of what this team has, they have had success in the last 30 years, but it's not been much as far as the regular season. But that doesn't matter. What matters is what you do come playoff time. And I know some Cowboy fans in my life that aren't delusional, that are as real can be, that aren't ass kissers. They speak the truth. There are some Cowboy fans that I know that are like that, but it's a rare breed of them.
Select few, though.
It's a rare breed of them because there's a lot of them that sit there and say, "This is our year. This is our time to shine. This is our time to continue the legacy of adding on to this organization. Win our 6th Super Bowl. You haven't won a Super Bowl since '95. You have not been to the NFC Championship game since '95. We're going on nearly 30 years, folks, of this organization having any success. I would even call it a success if the Cowboys make it to the NFC Championship game, because you at least done that. Tony Romo can't say that he did that. And so far, Dak Prescott can't even say he has done that. And it's a shame, because all of this talent that they have had over the years, whether it be Terrell Owens, whether it be Jason Witten, whether it be Tony Romo, because you know what? Tony Romo I thought was a damn good quarterback. You had all these different players that have came and gone from Dallas, and Felix Jones and Barber and freaking Des Bryant. All these great players. And you can't get the job done.
When you're an organization who cares, or at least they say that they're supposed to care about the team, the fan base, the organization itself, but yet you don't do anything in free agency, hardly. You force your so-called rich quarterback to take a pay cut. You practically force your star defensive player to take a pay cut. And you don't surround CeeDee Lamb with any targets, which, by the way, brings up another interesting point. I'm not sure if you were made aware of this, Steven, but now Dallas has lost their number 2 receiver.
Michael Gallup.
Gallup. He signed a 1-year contract to be a Las Vegas Raider. So, who else does Dallas have now other than CeeDee Lamb?
Nobody. I mean, it's a shame. I mean, are you kidding me? Meanwhile, the Chiefs are making moves in the draft. Oh, what a concept. And yet, here's the Cowboys who draft a tackle when you already have a good enough offensive line. You had an offensive line in the last couple of years that actually could block. That's why Tony Pollard was able to do half of the things that he was able to do. That's why Ezekiel Elliott, not just getting donations to the Salvation Army, he was actually running good a couple of years ago with Dallas because the offensive line can block. You don't need a tackle. You need more defensive backs. You need receivers. You need running backs. You need tight ends. You need linebackers. You need defensive ends. You need significant pieces that will win you a Super Bowl. And you're not going to do nothing if you don't do nothing during the offseason. You're not going to win nothing if you don't make any moves in the draft. This owner, Jerry Jones, will not fire himself. Unfortunately for Cowboys fans, you are going to have to suffer with this clown of an owner until the day he dies. Because the Dallas Cowboys, as long as Jerry Jones is the principal owner of your ass is grass.
And I thought we had it rough with Dan Snyder as our team owner. Please, it doesn't even hold a candle to what bad stuff Jerry Jones has done since he took over as owner of the Dallas Cowturds. Oh,
And
sorry.
I don't want to come on here and keep bashing the Cowboys. But Jerry Jones makes
But
it
then-
so easy.
I'm about to say, Jerry Jones and the entire front office make it so freaking easy.
Just when you think the bashing of the Cowboys isn't going to stop, just when you think it's going to stop, it doesn't. Because all he cares about is doing press conferences and getting in front of the microphone
And
going,
making a fool of himself.
oh, we're all in. I'm so proud of the roster that we have. All these young players that we have surrounding Dak Prescott. What young players? What significant players that are going to win you a championship?
What young players? Please.
Because Tony Pollard's not walking to that door next year, folks. He's with the Tennessee Titans. Michael Gallup just left you for the Raiders. He's not walking to that door next year. Wake up. Wake up, Jerry Jones. Wake up.
And this is my last thought on Dallas. What makes this even more amusing is the fact that one particular running back, one awesome, beastie, particular running back,
only one,
made national headlines by saying he would love to play for a rich organization or organization with a rich history like the Dallas Cowboys, because he said that it would bring legitimacy to his career, it would make him seem much more popular, and he said that all the Dallas Cowboys had to do was call him. But did they? No,
nope.
They did not. But you guys may be wondering who I'm talking about. The answer is quite simple, people. It's Derrick Henry.
If you would have gotten Derrick Henry in the offseason, we would have been singing your praises. Getting him. Because if you thought, and Tony Pollard's a great running back, don't get me wrong. But if you would have gotten Derrick Henry, that would have legitimized you as a possible Super Bowl contender. Because, oh, by the way, it would have taken the pressure off of Dak Prescott. Because when you got a 6'5" and change running back who can bulldoze his way over 6-7 people at one time, he takes immediate pressure off of him. And you know what? And it wouldn't surprise me if the Ravens make a run next year to the Super Bowl, because that is how good Derrick Henry is as a player. If he would have joined the Cowboys, all you had to do, Jerry, was make a phone call. But you didn't. And you blew it. I think we've gone on about these clowns all for the longest time again. Thank you, Dallas, for giving us even more chances to run this franchise down. Because Jerry Jones, once again, makes it so freaking easy. And moving on to the biggest head-scratching pick of the draft. What in God's name is the Atlanta Falcons thinking? Drafting Michael Penix with the number 8 selection in the first round. You didn't need a quarterback when you got Kirk Cousins.
6 weeks ago,
you signed Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins put pen to paper on a 4-year, $180 million contract to be Atlanta's starting quarterback. And what do you do 6 weeks later? You're already thinking of life after Kirk Cousins when he hasn't even played a down for you guys yet by drafting Michael Penix? Make it make sense, people.
Make it make sense. And oh, by the way, like Sam Roberts says in his podcast, everything counts.
Yep.
When you make moves like this, people are going to scratch their heads at you. You could have drafted one of these top receivers.
Yep.
You could have drafted another running back. You could have drafted a defensive back.
You could have given Kirk Cousins a deep threat in Rome Odunze from Washington. But no, you decided to go after a quarterback.
And Rome Odunze ended up going to Chicago.
Yep.
and that's a shame that if it's not the Cowboys, it's the Falcons. The Falcons have not learned from 28-3.
No,
And that was
they
7
have
years
not.
ago.
No, they have not.
That was 7 years ago. Hard to believe.
Hard to
And
believe.
you drafted Penix when there's all these other great players that were still available. This makes the Cowboys' lack of drafting look even laughable because you drafted a quarterback who didn't even need to be picked because I guarantee you he would have been available in the second round.
More than likely.
Because everybody else was going, well, except for the Bills, really, but everybody else was going after positions that they needed.
Yep.
And when you look at what Atlanta needs, they need threats on offense for Kirk Cousins. Because if Kirk Cousins doesn't have a running back to hand off to, if he doesn't have another couple of receivers or tight ends to throw to, or even if you wanted to draft a tackle or an offensive lineman, be my guest. That's fine, because those are pieces to help you win a championship when you need those pieces. And I know Cowboys fans are thinking, oh, you're saying, oh, Atlanta could draft a tackle? Why can't we? Because again, like I said, not even 10 minutes ago, you didn't need to draft a tackle because you've already had a great offensive line. But back to Atlanta. Atlanta, you are about as dumb as a rock, as a set of rocks. You are about as dumb as a blonde on the street corner that doesn't know where the hell she's at. You had all of these positions that were available to be drafted, and you blew it.
Ho, ho, ho.
No, Christmas is not here.
Nope, and it definitely won't be here for Atlanta or Dallas this year.
Nope. And I tell you what, and I know I talked about it briefly, with Washington. And I thought Washington did a very solid job in the draft. Now, I know you got some thoughts because going into the number 2 selection, obviously there was Jaden Daniels. There was still J.J. McCarthy. There was still, Drake May, still on the board. Going into this draft and going into this pick and, and it, being up to them, what were your thoughts, Joey, going into this? Because all the ESPN analysts and experts were talking about, oh, I think they could go to this guy, other than, Jaden Daniels. Did you think that Daniels was the answer all along for their pick, or do you think that they could have gone with something different?
If I didn't think Jane Daniels was the answer, I wouldn't have been saying it for days, weeks, months that the Commanders were going to get Jane Daniels. I wouldn't have said it as often as I did. Now that we finally have Jaden Daniels, which I am very, very ecstatic about, everybody in my Commanders fan groups has been saying, well, now we need to get an O-line to protect him. And I'm like, yes, I agree with that. So that's why we went out and used a couple of late round picks to get some O-linemen. Now, our O-line still needs a little bit of work. And yes, he may not have been a good head coach, but you can't deny the fact that Cliff Kingsbury is an offensive mastermind. He is more suited to be an offensive coordinator than a head coach. We all saw what he did as a head coach, and it was pretty much a failure. But you still can't deny the fact that Cliff Kingsbury is an offensive mastermind. And I think that he, along with our new head coach, Dan Quinn, who I've been very impressed with up to this point so far, which I never thought I would say those words. But I am liking what the Commanders are doing right now. Now, do I think it's going to lead to an NFC East title? Not right now, but I can definitely see us being a threat. I can see us challenging for at least second place, maybe a tie for second if we play our cards right. But that's a big if. A big if. Because we got to get an O-line to surround Daniels with so that way he doesn't be running for his life or running like he has his head cut off like a chicken all the time. We got to find other receivers to throw to so that way we can take some of the slack off Terry McLaurin. We also got to get our new running back, Austin Eckler, involved in the run game as well as catching some passes out of the backfield. And we especially got to get our defense up and going because defense has been one of our main problems over the past couple of years. We have had great defenses on paper, but on the field, it just doesn't look the same. So Dan Quinn being the defensive minder, as well as, of course, Cliff Kingsbury being on the offensive side of things, it's going to equal some success, but unlike the 95% of Dallas Cowboy fans that are delusional, I speak the truth when it comes to my team. Now, we definitely addressed some parts in the NFL draft, which I'm very, very thankful for that. But me speaking the truth here, we still have a little ways to go before we can consider ourselves a threat year in and year out. But like I said, if we play our cards right, we can at least try for second place.
Very true. Another team that I thought that did two teams I thought that did very good in this first round that came out to me was the Patriots and the Vikings, especially with the Patriots because they got Drake May at quarterback. I think that's a great pickup for them. And then obviously with the Vikings, J.J. McCarthy. I love that pick.
Yeah, and the fact that they traded up one spot with the Jets to make sure they get their quarterback.
Overall, very successful, for the Vikings and for the Patriots. And I thought the Jets did good, getting an offensive lineman because they need them. They need them.
Yeah. And there is, even though they only had, of course, the one pick in the first round, I think there was one team that needs to be talked about at least a little bit that even though their future may not be bright right now, over the weekend, it did become a little bit brighter than what it was before the NFL draft even started. And that is one team in the AFC that used their first two picks in the first and second round to really address some of their biggest needs. And the team that I'm talking about is a team that I am impressed that did a great job, at least in the first few rounds of the NFL draft, is the Los Angeles Chargers. The reason I say that is because two of their main positions that they needed going into the draft were an offensive lineman and a wide receiver. And they addressed both of those with their first two picks, with arguably the best offensive lineman in the college games last year, with Joe Alt from Notre Dame, plus getting a deep threat from the former two-time defending back-to-back national champions, the Georgia Bulldogs, in Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey is a deep threat. And this is somebody who I know he's going to have some big shoes to fill in regards to replicating what Keenan Allen and Mike Williams did the past few years with the Chargers. But I think Lad McConkey can actually be a force to be reckoned with. Lad McConkey can get open down the field when he needs to. He can break away from defenders. He can fake defenders out. He can find ways to get open. Whether it is down the field, whether it's a screen pass, whether it's a short pass for a first down, whatever. McConkey can find a way to get open. And Joe Alt, like I said, the best O-lineman in the college game last year. And the fact that the Chargers were able to get him whenever they did is a huge plus for Justin Herbert. Even though I still think their head coach is a big old douchebag, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was honestly surprised, speaking of the Chargers, I was honestly surprised that they did not get McCarthy. I was a little surprised.
I mean, I didn't think they were going to, because this quarterback class was going to be a class that knew that they needed to start right away. And for a lot of these teams that needed a quarterback, like Chicago, Washington,
Minnesota,
Denver, I mean, they needed to go out and get quarterbacks that they knew could start right away. And that's what they did. Now, Denver pretty much has no choice but to start Bo Nix, because we all know Zach Wilson can't win the game to save his life.
No. I'm sorry, but can we get the next bounty hunter game or the next manhunt game that stars Zach Wilson? I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just saying. Can we get the next Grand Theft Auto in the near future, years down the line when Zach Wilson's been done retired? He's going to get into video games. He's going to be in Grand Theft Auto.
Or better yet, he could join up with Kyler Murray and they can play Call of Duty.
That's right. That's right. And speaking of Arizona, nice transition there, Joey, because I thought the Cardinals got one of the best picks of the draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. is headed to Arizona.
Yes.
I love this pick.
So do I.
He is going to be just like his Hall of Fame daddy.
Yes, he is.
And if you're Kyler Murray, you have to be completely excited to be having this great target to throw to, because this is going to be the next, quarterback to receiver combination, just like the Kansas City Chiefs have done it again. Possibly the steal of the draft. Drafting
a receiver who ran a 4.2 40 and Xavier Worthy.
Xavier Worthy, picked by the Kansas City Chiefs. What a steal. What a absolute steal. And you can mark it down. Mahomes to Worthy will be said.
Oh, yeah.
Over and over again.
Especially if Rashee Rice is going to be suspended for a certain amount of time.
And just imagine when Rice comes back from his suspension. Ooh. Could you imagine the young receiver tandem? Because Mahomes ain't going nowhere, folks.
Nope.
He's 28 years old. He's already won 3 Super Bowls. He's probably going to win a 4th one.
Probably.
And at this point, it wouldn't surprise me if they 3-peated. I'm just saying.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me either. Now, even though he did act like a douchebag last night, supporting the I don't even know a name that I can describe him, but seeing as how he had Logan Paul's back last night during Raw last night, kind of got under my skin a little bit, because Logan Paul is nothing but a cocky little jackass. But hey, that's just my opinion.
I really love how the Chiefs did it again. And why do I say that? Because they got that pick from the Buffalo Bills.
Yes, they did.
Because the Buffalo Bills, I believe, were at pick number 28. And
Yes,
they
they
traded
were.
with the Chiefs. And the Chiefs picked him at number 28.
That's right. They traded.
Not only did they beat them in the playoffs when it matters the most, but they beat them in the draft. And if you're the Bills, you're kicking yourself. You're going, this could have been us. This could have been us drafting Xavier Worthy as our star receiver. And now Mahomes has got him. And the scary part about it is he's a rookie. And if he plays like a true professional in his first year, he's going to be asking for some serious money.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
And I thought that was a great pick by the Chiefs. And I thought Baltimore did good in the draft and drafting a cornerback in the first round. You can't go wrong with having extra cornerbacks sit on that team because it's extra pieces. It's extra people to learn from, from the people that are there. Like Kyle Hamilton. I mean, yeah. Those are some of the teams I thought they did really well in the draft. And then again, when the Bills had a chance to get a wide receiver at pick 32, they traded that to the Panthers.
That they did.
The Bills could have had 2 receivers on their roster that they could have drafted, and they blew both opportunities. I don't know what to say. I mean, just crazy. Now, as far as the picks, that we haven't talked about, what were some of the more significant picks over the next couple of days that shocked you?
Let me see. Let me pull up the NFL draft results real quick so I can take a look at the full list.
Crazy how we're already about to be in the month of May as of tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And while he's pulling that up, again, folks, we are live here tonight. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's at @ON_Sports Show, Facebook and YouTube.com, both at Our Nation Sports Show. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with all your family and friends that love sports and sports podcasting and stuff like that. And also don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, Facebook at Nation's Corner, and on YouTube where they are live on Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific at youtube.com/The Nation's Corner.
All right, here we go. I got it right here. Let's see. Some of the other big surprises in the NFL draft. Let me see. Here's a good one. I'll bet it felt good for the LA Rams to have a first round pick this year because they have not had a first round pick in the NFL draft in, I believe somebody said 8 years.
Yep.
Or no. I take that back. They didn't. They haven't drafted a defensive player in the first round in the past 8 years. Ever since
I was thinking of Aaron Donald.
Yeah, I was ever since some guy named Aaron Donald was drafted. But the fact that they were able to get one of the best edge rushers in the game last year in Jared Verse from Florida State, that speaks volumes right there.
That could have been the Cowboys. Just saying.
That speaks volumes. And let me see. And also another great edge rusher that went just before Jared Verse was the one and only Dallas Turner, who went to the Minnesota Vikings at number 17. That was a great pickup for Minnesota.
Yep.
They can always use some help on defense. And let's see. Trying to see if there's anything else. Oh yeah, we talked about Baltimore getting Nate Wiggins out of Clemson.
Yep, great pick.
Oh, and the fact that not only did we have a monumental moment right there at the beginning of the NFL draft with all those Detroit Lions celebrities, legends, and players coming out, but the fact that they addressed their top need in their with their first round pick, getting one of the top corners from the SEC in Terrion Arnold. I mean, that just lets you know that Detroit, they are going to bounce back.
This is not the same old Lions. This is not the same old Lions.
If anything, I wouldn't be surprised if Detroit makes it back to the NFC Championship game this year. Because their top need going into the draft was another corner. And that's what they did. That's what they got.
Because that was their Achilles heel in the championship game against San Francisco.
Yep.
And speaking of San Francisco, they drafted a wide receiver.
Yes, they did. Which I did see Kevin's analysis when it comes to that pick. And it makes me wonder, since San Francisco did draft a receiver, does this mean that potentially Brandon Ayuk or Deebo Samuel could be going elsewhere?
That's a good question because, I mean, Ayuk and Deebo have been looking for a long-term contract for San Francisco, and neither have been, completed. And if you're the Niners, I mean, I understand you had to make a pick, and they addressed a key weapon that they needed just in case, as like an insurance policy if Deebo or Ayuk, were to leave the team. So good for them to do that. And obviously when you got Deebo and Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey and Brandon Ayuk, those are key players. And you're not going to be able to keep all of those players. And also, obviously, can't forget about George Kittle. You got all these great players, and you can't keep them all unless you take serious pay cuts.
Yep.
That's the only way you're going to keep anybody around in the NFL on a team. So it is interesting what San Francisco did. I will be curious to see how it goes in the long run, because come next year, we're going to be answering a lot of questions. This will be Brock's, second, full year as a starter. And will San Francisco next year be feeling that Super Bowl hangover?
You see, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is Brandon Ayuk's contract year.
I believe you are correct.
So I mean, yeah, there's going to be a lot of questions surrounding this 49ers organization next year. But at least they will not pull a Dallas Cowboys. Oh, sorry, I brought that team name up again. At least they won't pull a Dallas and do absolutely nothing.
I mean, damn, it's like, Joe, it's like we're catching Cowboys-itis.
Right?
And before we continue here, we got a tie game here, folks. Here in the box score on the NBA with 9 minutes and 24 seconds in the second quarter. You got the Knicks and the 76ers right now tied up at 28 apiece.
Good Lord. Philly was just up by 7 like 2-3 minutes ago.
Yep. And the Knicks right now are obviously leading that series at 3-1, and Philadelphia is once again trying to trust the process, not of elimination, but they are facing the brink of elimination once again. I'm
telling you one thing, Jalen Brunson, ever since he left Dallas and went to New York, oh my God.
So good.
Jalen Brunson, what a player he has turned into.
Had a monster game in Philadelphia. Was it like 47 points?
Something like that, yeah.
Dude was on fire. I mean, And Big said, "Oh, I'm gonna drop a 50 McNugget here in the garden." And he goes, "Okay, I'm gonna drop 47 on y'all on the road." Okay. So, and the Knicks, they're doing great, and moving back, back over to the NFL, talking about some of the things that happened yesterday. And we just talked about it. Ezekiel Elliott is rejoining the Cowboys on a one-year contract.
He's moving back into a Salvation Army kettle.
Yep. Donations will be accepted to come the beginning of the season in September. Thank you very much. Thank you. Come again.
I swear we are bad people.
Hey, excuse me. Is there any more donations we can have? No, no dice. All donations have been accepted and no more will be taken.
I swear we're bad people.
And we're bad. We're nationwide.
Yeah, but we can't help that though.
We weren't born to follow a loser in Jerry Jones.
I'm telling you what, Cowboy-itis is going to be hitting us really big.
Oh, it is. It's the story of our lives. Nah. Yep.
Lord, did you really just go there?
Yeah. Right now I have no control. Damn. I mean, Jerry Jones is thinking I want to conquer the world, but I can't because I absolutely suck at drafting and making picks in the draft and making signings and trades in the offseason. I mean, come on.
I
feel no sorrow. Oh my God, yes. I'm over here dropping references left and right.
You can't really feel sorrow for a team that's had the same results going on 30 years now.
Yeah, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction. Too much fun. I mean, I had too much fun at that Bad Religion and Social Distortion concert on Friday. But anyways, in case you're wondering, those were some of the song references that I was dropping from both bands. There you go, right there.
It's like going down to the Sunshine State this past weekend. I hear you, dude.
Oh yeah, and right now, one more reference for those Cowboy fans that are delusional. Not for the ones that aren't delusional, because I know Cowboy fans that aren't delusional fans. These Cowboys fans are constantly experiencing bad luck. Just saying. Moving on. To a team that actually has success in the offseason and in the regular season, and most importantly, where it matters the most, the playoffs. The Kansas City Chiefs are keeping their star tight end, Travis Kelce, for a couple of more seasons.
That's right.
Making him the highest paid tight end in NFL history.
2 years, a 2-year extension worth $34.25 million, as well as making, like you said, making Kelce the highest paid tight end, and also keeping him around as Patrick Mahomes' favorite target.
That is right, and obviously, where there comes success, there comes money, and when you're able to take pay cuts involved, I think you're looking pretty good, for the Chiefs. So yeah, I thought that was a great move by them to do what they did, and lots going on in the NFL over the last several days in Detroit. I'm so happy for that for those fans that have suffered through the bad times to get to where they are today with the good times and the success that they had last year, and hopefully for the Detroit Lions and for their fans that they will have even more success come next season.
Oh yes.
Because what a story it would be to cap it off by going to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Because they were this close to doing it this past year. This close.
So close.
And let's move on to the NBA. And there's a lot going on in the NBA. We briefly touched on it. The Knicks and the Sixers are going on right now. But there is one thing that I do want to talk about. And that is the Milwaukee Bucks. Because the injury bug has bit them at the worst possible times.
Yep. They win. They win Game 1 on their home court with Damian Lillard scoring an unbelievable 35 points in the first half, even with Giannis on the bench because of his calf strain. But what has happened since then? Tyrese Halliburton and Pascal Siakam and the Indiana Pacers have absolutely taken over, winning these past 3 games and putting Milwaukee in a 3-1 hole, which of course will more than likely lead to another playoff exit, early playoff exit might I add, not just for the Bucks, but for the playoff choke artist for the NBA, none other than Mr. Doc Rivers.
And the suffering for Doc Rivers continues, whether it was the first domino to fall, and that was the Celtics back in 2010 against the Lakers and Kobe Bryant, blowing a 3-2 series lead and ultimately losing the title in Game 7. And then the years with the Clippers, them falling in the conference semi or even the conference finals or even the first round. And if that's not enough, you want the ultimate screw yous of all, going to the 76ers and bombing there as well. And then, if that's not enough, you go to Milwaukee after they fired Adrian Griffin after going 30 and 30 and 11 or 32
30
and
and
11?
13.
Thank you. And just an incredible record that they had. And then, you had to fire him. And then the interim coaches went, 7-2? And then you get Doc Rivers, and his record's even worse with the Bucks. I mean, the double-digit leads that they've blown in the season, the lack of defense, the injuries are mounting up on them. And Damian Lillard, after having a great game in Game 1, in Game 3 had a very bad injury happen.
Yes, he did.
And then in Game 4, Bobby Portis can't control himself, so he says, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to get ejected and suspended for the next game.
So if there's ever a time for the Bucks to step up, it's now. Otherwise, they could be, since Game 5 is tonight in Milwaukee, if they lose, then they won't have to go as far as enjoying life outside of the playoffs.
And you know what, Joey? I will say this right now. If the Bucks do lose tonight, this may be considered, arguably, in my opinion, the worst season by a super team in NBA history.
Yep.
Losing in the first round and not having a great record when it matters the most. Especially with the coaches of a profile of Doc Rivers. The only success that Doc Rivers had this past regular season was the times he was sitting in the commentary booth with Mike Breen.
Right.
Where he belongs. Because Mike Breen is one of the greatest commentators in basketball.
Bang!
And bang! Puts it in! I mean, just the countless catchphrases, the enthusiasm, the excitement. You know, what we need in sports is excitement. Because how does it feel to be alive? It feels wonderful to be alive. And if you're a sports fan and you love sports, how could you not be excited to be experiencing the NBA playoffs happening right now, to be experiencing the NFL's offseason, to be experiencing the UFL, baseball in full swing, the NHL playoffs, because there's nothing like playoff hockey. What's going on right now? And Doc Rivers had the best job in his career in a long time. He was sitting on his ass in the commentary booth getting paid good money to sit there and not lose and make a mockery of his career. Because he's lucky, like we talked about it yesterday, Joey, he is lucky to be a champion in the NBA.
Yep.
Because if it wasn't for Kevin Garnett, if it wasn't for Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo, and that great Celtics team in 2008 going 66-16 in the regular season and winning the championship against the Lakers in 6 games on Father's Day, nonetheless, if it wasn't for that success in 2007-08, the greatest season turnaround in NBA history, culminating with a title, we would be sitting here today talking about a head coach who has had no success.
None.
And you know what? I'll make the comparison right now, and I don't care. He is the Martin Schottenheimer. You know who I'm talking about. Marty Schottenheimer.
Marty Schottenheimer, and also the Mike McCarthy.
Yep, he is the Marty Schottenheimer and the Mike McCarthy of basketball. Because Marty was a great coach. He was. All those great San Diego teams. Marty had a great team in Kansas City. You know, he had a great run as a coach. But in the end, when it mattered the most, unfortunately, Marty and his teams that he was coaching could not get the job done. And Schottenheimer, I like the guy. The guy's a great coach. But he didn't win, you know, when it mattered in the playoffs. And I just think that wasn't really him. I think it was just the teams, because that's just my opinion. And Doc Rivers' case, that's all on him. It's up to you to put a great game plan as a coach.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But of course, since you're talking about winning, and since you're talking about being a team's fault for them losing the series, let's move on to one of our favorite teams that we like to talk about in the NBA that got ousted last night by the defending champion, Denver Nuggets. And yes, folks, I'm talking about the LeBron James and Anthony Davis-led Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, that Los Angeles Lakers team had multiple chances to make this a series, and they blew it. In multiple games, they led in this series, but time and time again, the Nuggets beat them when it mattered the most in crunch time.
And you know what? I just now have to think about this. Listen to this mind-blowing statistic. We all know the Nuggets won the series 4-1.
Yes.
But do you know how many total minutes Denver led in this series?
Go ahead, hit me.
Almost 60 minutes.
Ha! Wow.
Literally, almost 60 minutes. Which means all the other time, this is well over 100 minutes, possibly even close to the 120-minute mark. The Lakers had the lead in these games, only to choke.
Yep. And 2 out of those 4 wins by the Nuggets were because of Jamal Murray.
The cold-blooded killer, baby.
And Mike Malone is a genius, because like Nikola Jokic in Game 2 said, we're going to go in and run it to play with no timeout. Malone did the same thing that Jokic probably would have said. Hey, coach, we're not calling a timeout here. Let's run it. Let's get the game over here.
Exactly. And I mentioned this during the pre-show, and I'm going to bring it up again. I love what Coach Mike Malone said in the press conference after the game when he was asked, we noticed you didn't call a timeout with a few seconds left in the game. So how much confidence, or did you have any confidence that shot was going to go in? Oh yeah, I had all the utmost confidence in the world. That's why I didn't call that timeout. I love that. Love that. Absolutely love it. The fact that he was behind his team and that he had faith in his team, it just makes me respect him even more as a head coach.
Yeah. And, it's just amazing how, and we talked about this yesterday as well, that this Denver team reminds us of those great Spurs teams.
Yep.
because
And
everybody on that team played their roles and knew their roles.
And you can't forget about the great Lakers teams from back in the early 2000s.
And the Celtics.
And the Celtics, yep.
And then back in the 80s, the 80s with the Celtics and the Lakers and the Pistons, and then in the 90s with Chicago.
And the Bulls back in the 90s.
Yep. And this Denver team is one for the ages. We also can't forget about the Golden State team from this past decade.
Oh, yeah.
All the success that they've had. And Denver is they're proven why that they had the championship medal that they do. So congrats to Denver for moving on to round 2, and they will take on the young upstart Minnesota Timberwolves. And this was very impressive by Anthony Edwards and company and Karl Anthony Townsend, and being able to sweep Kevin Durant and Devin Booker along with Bradley Beal and the Phoenix Suns, because that's not an easy task.
No,
but when you're a
really
team
not.
like the Suns, who don't have a lot of pieces besides their big three, it's kind of easy to manage them, and beat them. And
exactly.
They did.
But before we dive too deep into the Minnesota Timberwolves, I have an interesting question for you, Steven.
What's that?
They brought this up a little bit during Sports Center, and that is not only does Coach Darvin Ham for the Lakers not have a bright future, but it's possible that LeBron's future as a Laker is iffy as well. So with a second consecutive first-round exit for LeBron, does this mean that his time as a Laker is over?
That's a good question, because after losing to the Nuggets last year in the conference finals, you beat Golden State in round 2 to get to the conference finals, and you managed to win only one game against Denver in the last 2 years. That's not good enough.
No.
And if I'm LeBron, I am questioning everything around me, because the injuries, the role players at times did not show up this year. Because if LeBron, Anthony Davis, and company did play their cards right and had a more consistent season last year, they would have not have been in the play-in tournament and being the first victim of the Nuggets. Because immediately we said on this show, if the Lakers somehow make it into the postseason, they're going to go down to Denver. Because Denver is just better than them, and they know it. And when you look at what is at hand, as far as LeBron, he is not going to win another championship as a member of the Lakers.
Yeah, because, even LeBron said himself when a reporter asked him, so what does this mean for your future now as a Laker? And LeBron just paused for a minute, and then he said, I can't answer that right now.
If he's not answering that, then even he's having questions and doubts on his certain future in Los Angeles. I think he leaves Los Angeles. Now, I think LeBron is fortunate that he has that one championship with the Lakers, although it was in the Mickey Mouse bubble in 2020 during COVID. And now that home court is back and firmly in advantage, obviously in the NBA, that right there is a key reason why you need success. That's why the Lakers went further last year than they did this year.
Yeah.
Because they won the first couple of rounds, and then they met their match, and that was it.
And that happens sometimes.
It does. And unfortunately, I think that's the domino that's going to fall on the Timberwolves, because even though they've had a great year, unfortunately, I think the Nuggets are just that better. Because it doesn't make a damn to where Denver plays. Denver says, we can play at home. We can play on the road. We don't care. We're going to come into your gym, and we're going to wreck you. We're going to beat you. We're going to beat you down, not just from the perimeter, but we're going to beat you in the inside. We're going to beat you, humbling you in the paint. We're going to beat you on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to make
Yep.
you work for your shot.
And that is exactly what they did.
And folks, that home court in Denver at the Ball Arena is no joke. The altitude that these players are having to play against Denver, it's tough. It's tough down there. They're not used to it. But the Nuggets, they are used to it.
Yes, see, and that is why I think that this series between Denver and Minnesota is going to be very, very competitive. Because think, not only does Denver have the mile high advantage, but both teams typically play in cold weather cities.
Right.
So this could be a very ultra competitive series between Denver and Minnesota.
I think it's going to go 6 or 7.
I was just about to say, you know what? I'm calling it right here. Denver in 7.
Yep. I'm thinking 6. But it wouldn't surprise me if it's 7. Now, another series that has me interested is the Clippers and the Mavericks.
Now, this one, I'll admit, this one is really surprising me. I figured that with the Clippers having the problems that they're having right now, I figured Dallas would have come in here and just completely taken over. But no, I mean, this series is tied at 2 games apiece.
And it could have been a 3-1 series lead for the Mavericks if they would have held on and would have played more defense in game 4 and would have not fell behind 31 points to get back into the game.
Yeah.
Because that was insane. Because James Harden in the third quarter did not score. But then in that fourth quarter, he scored in bunches and took over the game. Got to give him credit. And Paul George had a great game as well. Paul George and James Harden both had great games.
Yes,
and you know, the team, you know, that team to me is interesting because you got Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is not a great jump shooter anymore. And teams are daring him to shoot. And he's not taking it.
Yeah, and I mean, I get the fact that Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving are trying everything they can to put Dallas at the forefront, but I mean, like we say about these NBA teams all the time, those 2 players can't do it by themselves.
That's why I think the Clippers are just too much for them.
Now, do I still trust the Clippers?
No.
Not really.
No.
I mean, I still think Dallas is going to come out on top in this series, but in order for Dallas to do that, they're going to have to step up their game.
Part of me wants the Mavericks to win, but I don't think they will because they don't have enough star power or enough role players that can get the job done.
No.
But I do think one thing, no matter who wins in this first round, they're both going to lose in the second round.
Yeah.
And
it's kind of hard. I mean, it's kind of odd to say, seeing as how the team that's waiting for the winner of this Clippers Maverick series is the Oklahoma City Thunder, who have the youngest roster right now in NBA terms.
And they have talent, but you got to prove to me that you can hang with the big boys.
Yeah.
Oh, you won against the Pelicans. So what? Win against the big teams when it matters the most.
I mean, Zion was out the entire series.
Yep. And I'm not impressed. I'm sorry. I'm not impressed.
Yeah,
you need to show me otherwise.
Even though their coach won Coach of the Year, I'm still not surprised. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not convinced yet.
Neither am I. Neither am I. I'm just not impressed.
But I'll tell you one thing. There was one player for a different team that really impressed me last night, and that is Mr. Derek White from the Boston Celtics. Holy cow! What a performance he put on last night down in Miami against the Miami Heat. Unbelievable.
I mean, Derek White is one of the unsung heroes for the Celtics squad. Not just last year, but this year.
Absolutely. Now, it may have come at a price, seeing as how reports are now going around that Boston Celtics center Kristaps Porzingis has suffered the same injury that has kept Giannis out of the postseason so far. So, depending on Boston's success that they have without Porzingis on the court, which is saying Porzingis could miss at least up to 3 weeks with this calf strain. So the time to step up for Boston is now, because we are only 5 weeks away from the NBA Finals starting up.
Insane.
5 weeks.
And that's not far off, folks.
No, it's not. I mean, it'll be here before we know it.
I mean, this year has flown by. This year has flown by. It's amazing how tomorrow is May the 1st.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing. Spring is here. Summer will be here before you know it. Jesus. Just crazy. And talking about, you know, the NBA. I mean, the Celtics, to me, on paper, are the favorites to get to the finals. But you have to step up if you're the role players. Because Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown cannot do it all by themselves.
No, they can't. I mean, they can try, but like we say, whenever a player gets injured on the court or the field, what's the first thing we say?
Next man up.
Next man up. And that's what's going to need to happen for Boston.
I agree. And before we move on, folks, again, we are live here tonight here on YouTube for another edition of our Nation Sports Show. And if you want to follow us on Twitter at Owen_Sports Show, Facebook and YouTube.com, both at Our Nation Sports Show. Like and subscribe and share this video and all of our past live streams and shows that we've done over the last several weeks. And just in case if you missed those, especially a couple of weeks ago when we had Mike and his boys from California down there ranting and raving about the Oakland Athletics situation down there with John Fisher and Dave Cavill. So if you haven't checked that out yet, go and check it out right now. Afterwards, it's an incredible show, and also don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter, Facebook at Nation's Corner, and where they are live on every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific at the Nation's Corner. And moving on to a story that has the entire professional boxing world in a tizzy. Mike Tyson, Iron Mike Tyson, one of the greatest boxers. Ladies and gentlemen, come on, baby. Where do you want to go out of the streets of Chicago? What's going on, man? Ezra.
Say his name and he appears.
You're still listening to that song on repeat, I see, brother.
What's up, guys? Glad I could jump on the show for the last little bit. How's the show been so far?
It's been good, man. You know, just talking about the draft and, you know, the disaster that is the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, see, unlike the Dallas Cowboys, where I can't believe in the Dallas Cowboys, but I do believe in Joe Hendry. So there you go. But no, seriously, yeah, it was a bad draft for the Cowboys. They drafted just nobody, typical. But I thought the draft overall, everybody, most of the teams made good picks and had. I mean, the Bears got Caleb Williams. After seeing him in an interview, I kind of have a different feeling about the guy.
I'm not surprised. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I think just because I feel like that after seeing him, I think this is a little bit different from the perception I have of him. Maybe he truly cares about this team. Maybe he truly cares about winning. We'll see. It's up to interpretation, but I feel like in his interviews that, it just seems like that he's genuine and not playing a quote unquote character or playing up to the hometown crowd and all that stuff. Like I thought he was going to, but with that being said, I thought we had some good picks. I thought we picked up that the O line guy. We picked up a wide receiver, I believe it is.
Yep.
Yeah, Roma Dunsday from Washington.
Yeah, that was a good pick. I thought the Bears did an awesome job in this draft. I thought they did. I give them a B at least for the draft and their picks alone. Better than the WWE draft on certain nights, that's for sure. But that's for the Nation's Quarter show to talk about, not for us in depth. But overall, I thought it was a good draft. Detroit was a good host city. Everybody did great. I know you guys have probably talked about the NBA already and talked about LeBron getting axed from the tournament.
Yep.
By the way, I have a little stat for you that my friend Jeff Grace was sending me while I was on the way back from the Windy City. I got back about 20 minutes ago, but obviously I had to grab a bite to eat since I didn't have a chance. Oh, wait. That's right, I did. I went to a place called Rico Beanie's, which is out in Chicago. They have a breaded steak sandwich with a red sauce on it that is to die for.
Nice.
Nice.
Any of you guys out there in Chicago, visit. It's an old spot. Back in the day, the mobsters used to go to it. I believe even Al Capone once ate there before. So check that out. But anyways, my buddy Jeff, he sent me this stat, and that is that minutes leading the series, Lakers 165, Denver Nuggets 59.
Wow.
And Denver still whooped their ass.
And so my prediction was very close. Denver led not even 60 minutes in this series, but yet they still won 4 out of the 5 games.
And the dagger that killed them both in game 1 and in the final game, Jamal effing Murray.
Jamal freaking Murray, the cold-blooded killer.
Crazy. I mean, Jamal Murray was a cold-blooded assassin in this series. Ice water in his veins.
Absolutely. And I asked Steven this question earlier, so Ezra, I'm going to ask you the same question.
Okay.
Now that LeBron is once again out of the playoffs in the first round, does this mean that his career as a Laker is over?
You know what? That's a really good question. It could be. As we know, LeBron's loyalty is not very well. It's not there as many people think. Obviously, he's jumped teams when they've had losing records and jumped teams when their team starts to falter. Obviously, he did that with Cleveland when he went to the Heat. He did that to the Cavs again later on, and he did it with the Lakers. So it's all about, to me. It's all about, does LeBron himself see a future with the Lakers? Does he see the potential to get back to a championship again?
Questions immediately started being asked whenever, during the press conference after the game last night, a reporter straight up asked LeBron, so what does this mean for your career as a Laker or for your future as a Laker? And then LeBron paused a little bit and he said, I can't answer that right now. And that was it.
Yeah, see, now that's where it can get a little dicey because, like I said, LeBron does not have a loyalty towards any team. It seems like, obviously, he went back to Cleveland and won him a championship, and that's all fine and dandy. But look what he did. He abandoned them and left them and then went to Miami and won championships there before he even went back to Cleveland. But real quick, score update right now. 49-43, Knicks over the 76ers at the half.
Nice.
And right now, it's currently with 4:15 left in the first quarter, 17-16 Magic over the Cavs.
Oh yeah, that's another series we haven't talked about. Yeah, the Magic and the Cavs.
Yep, tied up at 2 apiece.
And every win has been a blowout on each respective team's home court.
Yeah, I'm about to say the home team has won each game in this series.
Yeah, and the Pacers tonight could send the Milwaukee Bucks packing as well.
Which I hope they do.
Imagine that. One of the teams has pretty much dominated the past year or so, now is faltering. Injuries are starting to pile up. Obviously, Giannis hasn't played. Now
Lillard's out.
Lillard's out now with a knee injury, and now they're getting exposed live on national TV in front of the world on one of the biggest stages of the year. So now look at that. We could see a possible elimination, and the Bucks are out. Pacers continue on, but the Pacers, they're a team that didn't get a lot of credit at the beginning of the season. Obviously they have the talent. They have a guy like a Tyrese Halliburton, who is an amazing, amazing player. But that team as a whole doesn't get a lot of credit because they're overshadowed by the Giannis-led Bucks or by the Boston Celtics or this, that, your sister's ass. It doesn't matter. To me, the Pacers are a very underrated team, and I think they're going to shock a lot of people heading into the playoffs moving forward if they get past Milwaukee tonight.
It's just amazing with this Bucks team. I mean, Doc Rivers is, the track record speaks for itself at this point. Yeah, it's like I said before you came on, Ezra. I said that the only success that Doc Rivers has had in the last several years as a part of the NBA was this past year. For the first half of the year, he was calling games with Mike Breen on ESPN and ABC. He should have stuck to that.
He should have.
Much.
Because Adrian Griffin was doing just fine without Doc Rivers at head coach for the Bucks.
Absolutely.
And they lost a couple of games and they got cold feet going, oh shit, what do we do? Let's fire our head coach. Why?
Why?
It didn't need to be done. Oh wait, because that's why.
Yeah.
I mean, the Bucks, I'm sorry. I think they're done. You're not going to win 3 games in a row with a depleted roster.
Yeah.
Because if Middleton is there by himself, Chris Middleton is not going to do this all by himself.
No.
You need Giannis or Lillard to have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
With them two gone, you're screwed.
Yeah.
Big time screwed.
By the way, there's some injuries that have started to pile up in case a lot of us haven't noticed. The Heat are going to be without Jamie Hawkins Jr. He's out with the right hip flexor.
Oh, wow.
The Knicks will be without Bojan Bogdanovic for the rest of the season due to a foot surgery.
Yeah, because of foot surgery.
Yep.
Speaking of surgery, real quick, Chris Finch, the coach of the T-Wolves, he's going to suffer a ruptured patella tendon surgery
after that collision the other night.
Yeah, with Mike Conley. Also, too, Porzingis will not play Game 5 in his respective game as well. With a calf injury. And then Jared Allen for the Cavs is going to be out. Is out for Game 5 with a bruised rib.
I was saying earlier before you came on, Ezra, that it looks like Porzingis has the same injury that has kept Giannis out for the postseason. And they're saying that Porzingis could be out for at least a good 3 weeks because of this injury.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then Boston's really going to have to step it up if they want to make it to the NBA Finals, because we're only 5 weeks away from the finals starting up.
Yeah.
Yep.
But and obviously we got tomorrow. We got Miami and Boston. Of course, Miami leads series 3-1, or Boston leads series 3-1, and then we got the tied series between the Mavs and the Clippers. So we got that to look forward to as well.
And before you came on, we were just talking about this, or we were getting ready to start talking about it. But the news that came down yesterday that the boxing, the boxing match between Iron Mike Tyson and Jake Paul in Arlington at AT&T Stadium in July is a sanctioned professional boxing bout.
Yep, and Jake Paul better go ahead and sign his death wish because he's gonna have his teeth knocked down his freaking throat.
Yeah, I think that Logan Paul is gonna have to take some time off from his WWE schedule to have to go mend to Jake. You might have to vacate the United States Championship.
He just might. He just might.
Speaking of that, let's quickly mention this, and I know it'll be mentioned on the Nation's Corner probably as well. But Patrick Mahomes being at Monday Night Raw last night as an ally to Logan Paul, and never thought, oh, it's gonna be cool. Well, JD McDonough, at least his big fucking Funko head got freaking smashed in with the 3 Super Bowl rings, and his head looked like freaking somebody ran over it with a dirt bike.
Speaking of which, I just now having to think about this. How about the comment that Jay Uso made last night saying, I mean, it's great having Logan Paul. I mean, it's great having one of the Paul brothers here in WWE. I just wish it was the one with the winning record. I was like, whoa.
Yeet.
Yeet.
You about to get that yeet down. Yeet.
Yeet.
Dude, nice shirt. Dude, also too, that Mr. Mahomes learned not to fuck with the returning monster of all men,
yes.
Roman. What a hell of a surprise that was to see him back.
It's so funny. So real quick about Strowman, shout outs to Ashley, who was there yesterday with her and the kids were there at Raw last night. It's funny because she has seen Strowman return in the same damn building, not once, but twice.
Nice.
Braun Strowman returning in Kansas City is like CM Punk returning in Chicago, only without the big pop.
Oh, speaking of which, how about that amazing back and forth segment between Punk and McIntyre last night? My gosh, that was great.
And the fact that Pat McAfee actually timed Punk's promo and it was like 2 minutes and 30-something seconds.
Yes.
I loved it. I thought that was funny.
I thought it was great. I mean,
Punk was on another level last night again. Once again, Punk proved why he's one of the best guys who can tell a story. So,
and McIntyre continues to have a great presence, in WWE. Like with the stuff on the internet that he's been doing with Twitter and social media, to his promos in the ring. I mean, Drew McIntyre is just a treasure. And I love when Punk came on through the up there in the skybox. I'm up here in the skybox, you little bitch. You looking for me? He goes, oh, okay. And he literally goes looking for him. He's like, hey, is this the press box where he's at? Yeah, it is. Okay. I got him. Ah, shit. And then he hears his music and he goes, fuck. And there's Punk one step ahead.
No. Let me tell you, one of the best things was somebody in the crowd had a sign that was a Drew McIntyre fan ahead. It's a little girl. She had a sign that said CM Poop on it. So WWE invited her backstage and Punk signed the actual sign. It took a photo with her. Just be a nice guy. It says Drew's posted it and put, you're hurt, you're old, and you get bullied by children. But then this is the best part. Yes. The USA Network Twitter account replied underneath, where was that energy yesterday? Fucking USA Network fucking Twitter account throwing grenades at Drew McIntyre.
Hilarious.
My Lord in heaven.
It is
back to the sanctioned fight stuff. I personally, it's not a smart move for Jake.
No.
It's not. They should have kept it as an exhibition. Maybe it would have been a little bit better for him. But we got to still understand. Honestly, we can look at it from this perspective. 2 perspectives. We can look at it as a bad thing for Jake because it's an exhibition, because it is now a full-on championship, or it's now a full-on pro boxing fight with records matter, knockouts, no pads, just the 14-ounce gloves, all that shit. But if you also look at it too, Mike Tyson has not had a professional fight in years, decades. And we're going into a professional 2-minute rounds, 8 of them. Obviously, it's only 16 minutes, but still, the man, we know how good his hand speed is. His power's probably still there. The question is, how is his cardio? Jake Paul is obviously younger. He's younger, and he's going to have better cardio probably than Mike Tyson does in his 60s. So it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. But I still have faith that Tyson is still going to take care of Jake Paul. But obviously, we don't know if there's... Obviously, we don't know many factors. We don't know about his conditioning, his cardio. We also don't know if this fight is fixed. We also don't know if Tyson's going to take...
Very true. That is a very good point there.
We don't know if it's going to be fixed for the entertainment. We don't know. We'll see. But
Because we have seen that in the last several years where there have been professional boxing bouts that have been scrutinized and criticized for it being fixed.
yeah, and this could be one of them, but we'll see what happens. That's all we can hope for. All we can hope for is a real fight. And
Tyson will be 58 going into this fight, and it will be interesting, like you said, Ezra. Come this fight in July. How's he going to be?
That is very true.
I think Jake Paul is in for a rude awakening.
Yeah, because, I mean, obviously, Mike Tyson is getting up there in age, but imagine if we see the Mike Tyson from back in his prime days. Imagine if we get that kind of performance from Mike Tyson in this fight. It's very possible.
If he does, if that Tyson shows up, he's in for a rude awakening. Is Paul? That's the fighter he does not want to mess with.
No, absolutely not.
Because Tyson in his 20s was deadly.
Oh, very deadly.
yeah, it was either multiple things happened to you. Either A, you got knocked out, B, you're badly bruised, or in the case of Evander Holyfield, you're missing part of your ear.
Yes.
You look like Mankind after you look like Mick Foley after he got his head caught in the ropes against Vader.
Oh God.
Or if you're Lennox Lewis, you were wondering, was he going to eat your children?
I don't eat children. That's not the way it goes.
Oh God. But yeah, that will be interesting down there at Cowboy Stadium come July. And oh yeah.
I just got a thought in my head. I probably shouldn't say it.
What?
This fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul is going to be the closest that Arlington Stadium has to having a champion in its presence. Cowboy-itis strikes again.
Yep, Cowboy-itis strikes again.
Yep.
It never gets old. Because Jerry Jones makes it so easy for us.
So easy.
Yep.
Oh boy. It's been fun. Any news, Joey, as far as the world of baseball?
Let me see. I think I remember seeing something just a little bit before we got the show underway. Let me just take a look. Yes. Let's see.
Oh.
Mike Trout. LA Angel star Mike Trout has to undergo left knee surgery for a torn meniscus. They're saying that it's not season ending, but he could be out for a lengthy period of time.
Nice. Wow.
Ooh.
Also, too, on the Astros side of things, Jose Abreu, former White Sox, had decided that he wants to be optioned in the minors to work through some of his hitting struggles.
I mean, if you're a professional athlete and you're having struggles, batting, why not? Go down there and learn.
Yep, exactly. That's really about it on the baseball world, I think, as far as that. Anything
Yeah,
that's
that's pretty much it.
of note, you know.
Yeah.
Did you mention about Candace Parker retiring?
Oh, thank you for
Oh,
bringing that
no, we
up.
did
Nope, we didn't
not.
bring that up. Thank you for bringing
No, we
that
did
up.
not bring that up just yet.
Yep, Candace Parker has announced her retirement.
Yep.
Won 3 championships for 3 different teams.
Yep, absolutely. A legend.
Crazy.
Including last year with the Las Vegas Aces.
Yep, legend.
Unreal.
Legend and future WNBA Hall of Famer.
And shout outs to Candace because she has done a phenomenal job when she has been on the NBA on TNT. She is a natural when it comes to being an analyst.
Yeah.
She knows this sport in and out very well, and she will do a phenomenal job continuing to cover basketball as she retires. And congratulations on one hell of a career for Candace Parker. Again, 3-time champion with Chicago, Los Angeles, and of course, last year with Las Vegas. And just an incredible resume. That's going to be hard to top.
Uh-huh. Listen, did you talk about Zach Wilson not getting his option picked up by the Broncos?
No.
Like I said, Denver has no choice but to start Bo Nix because we all know Zach Wilson ain't a winner.
Yep, there's that. The Jags have cut wide receiver Zay Jones and kicker Joey Sly.
Whoa.
That's right, because after the Jaguars picked wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. with their 23rd pick, the Jaguars decided it was time to cut ties with Zay Jones.
And Jones was good last year for the Jags.
Well, he was good up until he had that injury that forced him out for the last 8 weeks of the regular season.
True.
Also, too, let me give a shout out to the NHL playoffs going on right now, too. Carolina Hurricanes up 3-1 in the series against the Islanders, and they're about to close it out in a few here. They're in the second period up 3-1 over the Islanders at the start of the second period.
Nice.
Same thing with the Bruins. The Bruins are 1 game away from taking out the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sorry, Adam Copeland. But they're tied at a goal apiece right now, heading to the end of the second period. So there's that. And then also tonight we got the Avalanche taking on the Winnipeg Jets. Jets are down 3-1 in the series. Sorry, Jericho. Nashville and the Canucks are up 3-1 in the series against the Nashville Predators, and that game takes place tonight as well at 10 p.m. Eastern. In both of those games one game will be on ESPN, the other will be on TBS.
And shout outs to my cousin and his wife, who are diehard Carolina Hurricanes fans. Like, they love going to Hurricane games. I mean, the PNC Arena is a great arena for hockey. And those fans, they show up every night. They are loud and proud about their hockey team.
Well, here's the problem. Living in the Southeast, any game during the hurricane season is a hurricane game.
True.
This is true.
This is very true.
But other than that, I think we covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, I think we did. I think we pretty much covered all the main aspects.
Because right now I can't think of anything to talk about any for the rest of the show because we covered a lot of great things in the draft and the NBA playoffs and obviously the fight between Tyson and Paul coming up.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered it all.
And since I am hosting Ezra, I will close out the show with the outro.
Okay.
I've already got that pulled up.
All right.
But if that's the case, if final thoughts, guys, I'll start with you, Joey.
Once again, another great show with you guys. Hate that Ezra here couldn't make it for the first part of the show, but we were able to have him here on the second half of the show, which is awesome. Great talk, guys, about the NFL draft, NBA playoffs, other sports topics, and we got more. Of course, we got more playoff action right now. More playoff action starting tomorrow, and more NBA playoff action up until the NBA Finals starting in June. So it'll be here before we know it, guys. So
That's right.
we're counting down the days until the NBA Finals, where we see the two best teams go at it. But for now, enjoy the playoff basketball while you can. Enjoy all the other sports, and make sure you have fun with your friends and your family, because you always got to keep those people in your lives. But that's it for me. Ezra, wrap it up, brother.
Will do. And yeah, it's weird being in this position. Well, that's also what Steven's girlfriend said to me yesterday.
Thank you, Chicago traffic, for screwing that up.
Well, no, but seriously though, it was a good time with you guys for the last 20-30 minutes or so. It was fun. Yeah, I got stuck in Chicago traffic, and then I had to come back, and then I had a great dinner, so it took me a little bit to get on the show, but I was able to get on for the last little bit, and it was fun. Thank you guys as always for joining us, and all that stuff that I always say. Also, too, thank you to everybody who came out to our booth and to our panel and photo shoot at the C2E2 Comic-Con this past weekend. It was a blast. The panel was completely packed to the gills. Everybody was loud. Everybody was interactive. It was a great time. The photo shoot afterwards had some great cosplays, and it was just amazing. Couple shout outs. Shout out to my friend Ashley at A&D Cosplay for her awesome Danhausen and Cody Rhodes that she did this weekend. And also a shout out to Wheezy at It's Wheezy Blonde, who is a Twitch streamer who does live Monday Night Raw and SmackDown live streams and coverage, and is also a beginnings of a cosplayer herself. She cosplayed as the hot mess Chelsea Green at this weekend's Comic-Con, and it was an amazing cosplay as well. So definitely shout out to her, and of course, shout out to all the people who came out, friends, acquaintances, new people who got to check us out and liked our page. So thank you guys for joining us on that front. And I know Steven will say it, but real quick, check out Nation's Corner with the guy and the gal, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on Saturdays on youtube.com/Nation's Corner. Steven, wrap this up, my friend. We'll see you next time.
Yes, great show with you guys, and thank you for joining us, Ezra, for the last 20-30 minutes or so of the show. Chicago traffic, you suck, absolutely. But then again, 5 o'clock traffic jams in the majority of the big cities does suck major balls. But I digress. Thank you guys for joining us here that will be watching this, that watch this live, and that will be watching this on demand. And looking forward to next week, continuing our coverage of the NBA playoffs and whatever news that comes out of the NFL and the NBA and whatever in between. We will be sure to break it all down next week in the world of sports. And again, same time, same channel next week. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at ON_Sports Show, Facebook and YouTube.com, both at Our Nation Sports Show. Be sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and follow the Facebook page, and follow us on Twitter. And also don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, Facebook.com/Nation's Corner, and where the guys and gal are live on every single Saturday on YouTube.com/Nation's Corner at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. And with that being said, we are done for the day. Another show was in the books. Thank you to Ezra. Thank you to Joey for joining me tonight. So with that being said, for KR Kevin Roy, for Randy Gyron, William Gyron, Hijacker Mike, our boy down there in the Bay Area, for Ezra Vickery, for Joseph Thornton, I've been your host for this evening. Stephen Wyand. And we thank you, everybody, for joining us here tonight. For those that watch us on demand, thank you as well. And be sure to share this video with all your family and your friends that love the world of sports. And everybody, hope you have a great rest of your week. Hope you have a great weekend this weekend. And enjoy the rest of the sports. Enjoy your time with your family and your friends. It is hard to believe that May the 1st is tomorrow. And if you are a Star Wars geek, happy Star Wars Day on May the 4th. And may the 4th be with you. And with that being said, we are out. Peace.
Turn me up.